Hello and welcome to episode 4 in the question and answer series. Today we're going to be tackling a specific question that was on the forums by David. Just before we answer that, I just want to go over some of the comments from the last video. So Jimmy Brungus again. Propsida, not prop. Test prop is a lovely drug. Any comps planned? I'm looking at a few comps this year. I want to do 3. I'd like to do one preferably fairly soon. And what I'm looking to do, I'm just going to set like 2 easy totals, one larger than the next, and then try hit a personal best total by October. So the British Classics in October, I think. I don't know actual dates yet. So that's going to be my main meet this year, so I'm hoping to hit the biggest numbers then. There's a meet in April in Scotland. I think it's it's in Dundee. It's called whatever it's called. It's just an open meet. So I'll do that and set it a fairly easy total. I might even just do it beltless. I'm not looking for PBs at that meet. I'd like to total like a 680, 700 easily. I just want to get back on the platform and set out a total. The next one I'll look for possibly throw the belt on PB total. I'm not going to say what total, 730, 740, something like that. And then British Classic. Goal is top 3 of the British Classic. Screamer Manuel is really, really strong. So he's totaling like 800. So not going to be competitive with him just yet, but my goal is to hopefully beat him eventually. It's pretty lofty goal, strong dude, but got to aim for something. Good luck with the shoulder rehab. Cheers, mate. Please stay safe. Always good advice. Greg Plitt, overtraining or undertraining. What got him? I don't know. I don't really know who Greg Plitt is, to be honest. I know he's dead. Rest in peace. But yeah, I can't say I really know who the guy is. Also replying Paul and Meth. I said non-training related articles. I like his training stuff. It's the gluten will make you an obese transsexual pedophile and B12 curing autism and HIV stuff that gets me. Yeah, I mean, some of Paul and stuff's okay. Like his bodybuilding stuff from earlier, it's fine. It's pretty much a lot of what he talks bunk. He really doesn't talk sense with a lot of stuff. Don't really rate that guy. Ian K. I now know why I haven't been seeing much bench vids from you in a while. Hope you manage your injuries and back to benching big. Cheers, man. I think the shoulder touch wood is under control. I'm moving back to 3 times a week benching as of this week. So I had my first session yesterday. I'm just going to keep up the back work and keep the press in reasonably sub-maximal for a while and just see how we go with it. JJ Gallagher, cheers for the in-depth response, mate. Keep these vids coming. Thanks very much. I intend to keep the questions coming because it makes producing the content a lot easier, and keep the interaction coming, comments, likes, all that good stuff in the bottom of the videos. Do appreciate it. Okay, on to BJJ strength. So this is from the Cast Iron Strength forums, www.castironstrength.com/forums. It's from a thread entitled BJJ Strength. Mark, if someone's goal was to improve their Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, would you set up a specific program designed to maximize the attributes that BJJ requires, or just give them a general program to improve overall strength and power? And then there's a bunch of stuff on the forums. Basically, what we're looking at here is sport-specific strength training versus just general strength training. There needs to be, it really does depend on the sport. Any kind of running, jumping based sport requires quite a lot of leg strength to be optimal at what you're doing. So you need to be strong through squatting patterns and deadlifting patterns to kind of maximize your force production capabilities. If you ever look at a force velocity curve graph, I'll link one into this the description of this video, you'll see that you get max strength is the slowest, and then as you move down, the velocity increases. You get onto activities like jumping, throwing. So typically you'll get something like, as an example, back squat is a maximal capability, it moves at the slowest speed. And then something like a clean pull moves faster, but still fairly slow because it's heavier. A squat clean next, it'll move faster, but then because it's heavy, it'll not move quite so fast. You'll get power cleans, which move faster again. Snatch will move faster again. A weighted jump will move faster again. Med ball activities will move faster again. Jump training will move faster again. Sprinting will move faster again. And then you'll get activities such as throwing stuff like javelin throws. Hammer throwing was kind of the faster end, and like all our activities, like any kind of throwing activities, as fast you're going to move. So where that sits in a sport-specific training program, in a sport where you run and jump and you use your own body weight or you manipulate your own body weight, the heavier activities like squatting, deadlifting, clean pulling, they allow you to better utilize the faster movement. So a bigger squat lets you better utilize clean pulls, bigger clean pull lets you better utilize cleans, so on, so forth, until you get to your own body weight and you're expressing your strength and power better because you've increased your capacity to produce force. And then once you have a high force production capacity, you work on the rate of force production. And ultimately in sport, it's the rate of force production that's the important thing, or your power, your ability to get work done. So within a sport such as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is a grappling sport, it doesn't. A lot of the activities happen. It's mainly an upper body strength sport. Lower body strength is obviously important, but most of the activities happen like on the upper body. So when you're like jostling with people, or like if you're trying to pass someone's guard, it'll be very much like a press down and then like a quick movement with a lower body. Like, so you need total body strength for something like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or any kind of grappling sport, but it needs to be applicable. Conditioning is definitely more important than strength in that sport. So if you look at something like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or any grappling sport, but we'll concentrate on BJJ because that's what you're asking about, you need to look at the amount of time you have for training and what's practical to have in your week. So if you're looking at someone who's a professional athlete, you might be able to fit in 20 hours of training a week. Someone who's a non-professional athlete might be able to fit in 5-6 hours of training a week. In order of importance, skill-specific training has to be prioritized. So any BJJ-specific training that you've got, if you only have 5 or 6 hours in a week, you're probably better off just doing 5 or 6 hours of BJJ. If you have a longer time to spend, then the next in the line is conditioning. So your sport-specific skill, then your conditioning work. Conditioning is extremely important within BJJ. It's a highly energy demanding activity, so you need to be aerobically in great shape. There's a lot of people will use like muscular endurance training, and you'll typically see like a lot of circuit training going on, power-based circuits, things like that. I think it's quite a lot of that's junk training, to be perfectly honest. I know people say it's old school, but like a lot of like just like distance training, like running, you can do it like with interval training if you want. But basically any kind of like high cardiovascular demand activity is going to be very important. So although running will get you running fit, it also will get you cardiovascularly fit. So it's important. Anything that's going to get your cardiovascular fitness up is going to be extremely important. Now, you can do that with exercise equipment. You can do that with running. You can do it with whatever. But to be great cardiovascular condition is of the utmost importance in the sport. And then next on is probably your strength training. It's probably in that order is the third most important. So I wouldn't ever say for a BJJ athlete you really need any more than 2 to 3 sessions a week. If you're a non-professional athlete, 1 to 2 sessions is enough, and within an hour. So when we're talking that you just need good general strength qualities, so um, some form of general kind of explosive movement is going to be good because it's going to help with getting out of guards. If you need to, the ability to grab on someone's gi and pick them up. If you have to, it's probably not going to happen because as long as the technique, as long as the person you're grappling with, they'll assume their technique is too good that they won't let you get that sort of position on them. And like if they're going to hold full guard on you, and they're just going to let you stand up with them, like Ricardo Arona did when Rampage Jackson slammed, like powerbombed them. But that's an example of where like being massively powerful and strong can be very useful in that sport. So you want to have some kind of Olympic element in there. Really, I think some kind of power clean, snatch element. I would say power clean just because I'm going to imagine if you're involved with something like BJJ, your shoulders are going to be knocked to shit. So something like a power clean is probably a lot easier on the shoulder joints, and it's easier to master as well. So low snatch is a good lift. I think something like a power clean or failing that, something like a squat jump is going to help with that kind of transfer in the rate of force development. After that, you're going to want some kind of gross lower body strength. Now, this is where it get a little bit funky, I would say, probably. Squat's the better of squat and deadlift, although for a lot of BJJ athletes, I've dealt with a few in the past, not a hell of a lot, but guys tend to be very heavily internally rotated, so there's a lot of like closed guard work, and you tend to be quite in this position loads, and they don't tend to have great external rotation. So something like deadlift's probably gonna have a pretty good carryover if it's done with good posture. So if you stay in like a very strict neutral spine, it's going to help with a lot of things like posturing up, moving around. It's going to get like hip strength probably a lot more important than knee strength in BJJ as far as the lower body goes. So I probably want to put a lot of emphasis on the on pulling patterns, so for the lower body, and like supplementary squatting patterns. So you probably want to focus more on your deadlifts with and then when you're talking about your deadlifts, you want to talk about deadlifting with immaculate form. So your strength. So with that, you're getting like a good isometric strength of the muscles of the spine. It's gonna really help in on the mat with like posturing up, breaking guards, moving around, having that strength through the hip and the spine is going to be essential. There's not really a lot of places in BJJ where you're going to need to have a lot of leg strength, like knee specific leg strength. There's more quickness and movement, which you'll get that from your cleans, and just having general strength qualities will help you move faster around the mat. Where you're going to need the strength is within the hips and the back. So deadlift's going to be real good for that. And then if you want a second lower body exercise, something like a front squat. It's probably easier to encourage a good movement pattern for someone who's so hugely internally rotated and has a very stiff thoracic spine, which from what I see seems to be the kind of the type of the athlete that you're going to deal with in that sport. So yeah, something like a front squat's going to be real good. And then upper body's kind of the big one. So within upper body strength, you're going to need the ability to pull and push, and it's going to be essential. I'd say like horizontal pushing, pulling patterns are probably more important because it's going to tend to be more kind of pushing away, pulling in. There's going to be some activity happens up here, but if you're in a position where someone's got your arm there, like they're trying to get on an arm, they're trying to get a triangle on example, and you're kind of stuck in this position, the strength of this arm is irrelevant. It's just going to be technique how you get out of there. Some pushing strength to get out of there is going to be useful, but your ability to apply your strength in that position is going to be fairly limited. And at the end of the day, their lower body stronger than your upper body. So that's when you get to that sort of position, your technique's of the utmost importance. But having the strength to be able to move around in that position is important. Like the biceps, I'd say probably need to be extremely strong. Lats, so pulling strength's probably more important. Like talking through it, probably is going to seem like a little bit meandering, probably, but when I'm trying to apply like your strength training to the sport, I think it's good to have a general understanding of what you do in that sport. and to try to apply movements in the gym to that, but not to be bullshit, for it to actually be applicable. So within that sport, something like a dumbbell press or a bench press, again, these athletes tend to have pretty bad shoulders, so bench press might not be so good. Like a bar press or like a barbell press, probably better. But to be like obscenely strong in that kind of horizontal push pull is going to help a lot, and like to have an obscenely strong chin up as well is going to help a lot. Chin up, I would say some kind of bench row or some kind of barbell row. Barbell row is probably really good for that sport, like a Penley row, because it's going to encourage that postural strength that it's going to help a lot. And any kind of like pulling strength is going to be massive. So things I've done in the past for that sort of thing, because I really think the key within BJJ is strength and posture. So your ability to be to have like good solid thoracic extension, or to go from like a kyphotic sort of around his spine into an extended position, to be really strong with that, and to have the upper body to kind of apply that. So if someone's kind of pulling down on your head, you've got the upper body strength to push away, but then also you got the strength in the upper back and then your neck as well to like push out of that and break them off you. So things with the upper body we're looking at, I'll probably select 4 exercises. I'd select a bench press pattern that was shoulder friendly, a horizontal rowing pattern that was that encouraged like a good posture, a horizontal rowing posture that encouraged just gross strength, so a bench row would be perfect, and then a vertical pulling pattern that's going to encourage like just pure strength, so chin up's probably best for BJJ or anything that's like neutral, because this sort of stuff's going to be intensive on the shoulder. It might be something you want to use as a supplement, but something as like a kind of key indicator of strength for your sport. You're going to use something like close and internally, or something internal with the internal rotation. It's going to be That's going to be easy on the shoulder and something you can really hammer to get the strength out of. And then as far as assistance goes, I think a lot of like hyperextension work, rowing out of a good ham bench, single leg work is probably fairly useful. Hamstring work's probably fairly useful, but not so much, like not to the extent of we're on an athlete. We're going to spend a lot of time doing single leg work, step ups, like run and transfer work, and a lot of hamstrings for injury prevention. More just looking kind of general qualities when it comes to lower body assistance. And just kind of for your lower body, you're really looking at bringing up your clean or your jump variation, and bringing up your deadlift with good posture, using a kind of a front squat or another like a box squat or some other kind of squatting pattern, just to develop general leg strength qualities, just because it's useful to have. But your key focus is probably going to be your deadlift with like a neutral spine. For your upper body, like we've already mentioned, like horizontal press, the shoulder healthy, a row that's going to encourage good posture, a row that's going to encourage just strength, and some kind of overhead pulling is going to encourage just strength. And then supplementally, we're looking at GHP rows, we're looking at reverse flies, a lot of upper back work, hyperextensions, maybe less so reverse hypers, just like a good robust kind of lower back strengthening, spine strengthening program that's going to encourage strength of the hips, strength in pulling and pushing horizontal. You probably want in your assistance like some shoulder pressing, but again, you're not really pushing the strength on that. You're just kind of doing it as an assistance for shoulder health. I'd likely go for a 2-day a week program, possibly push out to 3. And I wouldn't get into any kind of conditioning sort of stuff in your weights. You can if you want, like if you're limited time, you can bring up a conditioning element in your weights, something I've maybe done before with other BJJ guys. It's like we would do the clean element, the main strength element, and then the upper body would be done in like a push pull kind of circuit, and renegade rows, GHP rows, and just bring a little bit of metabolic element into it, because ultimately BJJ athlete doesn't need to be like super strong, they just need to be strong and fit. But like, you need to be fit more than you need to be strong. So hopefully that's kind of helped. I just like went through the mental process of working out how you might work with that sort of athlete, and how that would differ from. It was another one of the questions was, which we'll probably don't need to answer because we've already went through it. Was I'm interested to see the difference between a program Mark would design for BJJ and one he would set up for someone who just wanted to get stronger but not compete in any specific sport. With general strength qualities, I would just choose like a horizontal press, horizontal pull, vertical press, vertical pull, hip dominant lower body, deadlift variation, quad dominant lower body, squat variation, and then I would just program them to get stronger at that, just for general strength training. Ultimately, in my mind, general strength training is going to end up with powerlifting or weightlifting, so I would set them up to be able to make the jump to one of those sports. So at the end of the day, I think that's where it's going to lead to. There's nothing wrong with general strength training, but I'm a big fan of goal-based training. So if you just do general strength training, then eventually it's going to be something like bodybuilding. It's going to be something like powerlifting. It's going to be something like weightlifting. If that's what the majority of people don't end up competing, but I like to give you the platform from which you can, if you wish to, because I think it's a meritable thing to do. So that's episode 4. Hope it's fully answered your questions, David. Any questions you got, put them on the Cast Iron Strength forums, send me an email, speedpowerperformance@gmail.com, hit me up in the comments. I will engage as much as possible. And until next time, hopefully tomorrow if we get some questions, this is Mark, castironstrength.com, signing off. Goodbye.